No one wants to grow old alone. But figuring out who to live with to truly be happy, now that is a question not everyone dares to face. Growing old is not just about numbers. It is a challenging chapter when the body starts to slow down, but the soul craves more comfort and understanding than ever before. After a lifetime of working hard and caring for family, many people are caught off guard when they finally stop to rest, only to realize happiness in old age does not come from material wealth. It comes from peace of mind and the relationships that surround us. And that is exactly why choosing how to live, who to live with and where to live, becomes one of the biggest decisions, one that deeply impacts the quality of life in our later years. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss out on any valuable content about building a happy and secure life in old age. And do not forget to leave a positive comment, a message for your future self. Something like, "I deserve to be loved and feel peaceful every single day," or whatever affirmation you wish. Let's spread some good vibes together. Now, let's get right into it. 1. Nursing homes. In many developed countries, nursing homes are no longer seen as symbols of loneliness or abandonment by one's children. Quite the opposite. They are becoming a conscious and modern choice for older adults who want privacy, professional care, and the chance to enjoy their golden years in their own way. Picture Margaret, a 78-year-old woman living in California. After her husband passed away from cancer, she moved in with her son and daughter-in-law for a short time. Although they cared for her deeply and provided everything she needed, Margaret still felt out of place in the busy rhythm of younger generations. Eventually, she chose to move into a modern nursing home, a place where she lived alongside people her age, enjoyed group activities like painting classes, light dancing, and senior yoga. Little by little, her life began to regain the joy and color that had faded during the quiet, disconnected months spent in a household that did not quite speak her emotional language. The biggest and most important advantage of nursing homes is the reliable medical care system. Older adults often deal with health issues that require close monitoring. In nursing homes, there are always doctors and nurses on site, ready to assist whenever a problem arises. This not only provides peace of mind for the elderly, but also eases the burden for families, especially those who care deeply but cannot be physically present every day due to work commitments. Secondly, the living environment is designed specifically with seniors in mind, safe, clean, and fully equipped. From elevators to bathrooms, beds to communal areas, everything is arranged to minimize accidents and create a warm, welcoming atmosphere that truly feels like home. Not every family, especially those in cramped city apartments, can provide that kind of setup. The emotional benefits cannot be overlooked either. In a nursing home, seniors get to connect and bond with people their own age. They swap stories from the past, play chess, listen to music, go for walks together. These seemingly small things actually help erase the heavy feeling of loneliness, the very thing that often leads older adults into depression or sadness when living alone. Instead of being stuck in memories, they get to live in the vibrant, cheerful presence of others who genuinely understand. Another key benefit is that living in a nursing home frees elderly people from having to follow their children's routines. They do not have to wait for their kids to come home from work just to have dinner, do not have to hear complaints like, "Grandma, you're disturbing the kids while they're studying," and they are not forced to tolerate lifestyle differences between generations. it is a rare kind of freedom in the later years of life. A kind of independence that does not mean being alone, but rather living with intention, dignity, and mutual respect. That being said, not everyone adjusts easily to a new environment. It is totally understandable to feel sad or disconnected during the first few days in a nursing home. Gone are the sounds of children's laughter, the familiar kitchen, or the old backyard garden. Sometimes these changes bring quiet tears at night. But with the right mental preparation and support from family, this stage passes, making way for peace and contentment. Once they realize they are now in a place that truly fits their needs. Another concern is cost. High-quality nursing homes often come with a significant price tag. Without a stable pension, good insurance, or support from children, many people hesitate to choose this path. However, there are now more and more options for low-income individuals, as well as community programs that help ease the financial burden. Some states in the United States even offer special policies and incentives for seniors entering nursing homes. Take the story of Walter, 82, a retired college professor in New York. He never married or had children and had been living alone in a small apartment. After suffering a minor stroke, he decided to find a nursing home that offered rehabilitation services, a place where he could be looked after and still have people to talk to. From that moment on, his life completely changed. Walter once said, "I do not feel abandoned. I feel chosen to live this chapter the right way." That simple sentence was like a gentle awakening, prompting many people to take a good look at their own lives. So, for anyone who does not want to burden their children, who needs professional care, or who longs for an independent, safe, and emotionally fulfilling life in old age, nursing homes are truly a worthy option to consider. Most importantly, this is not the end of family love. Sometimes it is actually the way to preserve it with the right distance, at the right time, and in the right way. 2. Living independently. In today's world, more and more older adults are choosing to live on their own, not with their children, and not in a nursing home either. This is a deeply personal choice, reflecting a desire to take charge of one's life all the way to the end, regardless of age or social expectations. Imagine an elderly couple, Henry, 80 years old, and Louise, 77 years old, living in a cozy little apartment in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Their children all live nearby, just a few minutes' drive away. On weekends, the family gathers. The house fills with laughter, warm dishes, and the joy of togetherness. But from Monday to Friday, Henry and Louise enjoy their own space, living by their own rhythm. Waking up early for light exercise, cooking a simple lunch, spending the afternoon reading or watering their plants, and winding down in the evening with a good movie. They care for a few pots of flowers, cook easy meals, and sip afternoon tea while soft music plays in the background. They are not tied to their children's schedule, nor do they feel like a burden. A part-time housekeeper stops by to clean and assist with heavier chores. They call it living life on our own terms, a lifestyle that makes them feel useful, capable, and in control of every moment. The biggest benefit of living independently is maintaining autonomy over space, time, and personal habits. Older adults do not have to adjust their routine for anyone else. They do not have to follow the fast pace of the younger generation, and they do not have to force themselves into any mold. This freedom helps preserve a sense of control, something crucial to maintaining mental well-being as we age. Planning meals, deciding when to rest, and choosing what to do each day, All of that contributes to the feeling that they are still themselves. Another perk of living alone is the freedom from everyday family tensions that can arise in a crowded household. No more small arguments about food choices, bedtimes, how to discipline the grandkids, or the constant noise. Having full control over their space brings a sense of relief and peace. Even the tiniest things, like when to turn on the television, what kind of music to play, or where to put their favorite chair, become little joys that are only possible when you live alone. One especially valuable aspect of this setup is the close but not too close relationship with family. The kids may not live in the same house, but they are nearby and ready to help when needed. This model works especially well for busy families. It lets both generations maintain a healthy distance, giving space to love one another without constant friction. Weekend get-togethers and holiday celebrations become more meaningful because each visit is something to look forward to. Henry often says, "We live apart, but we have never felt disconnected because every week brings a warm reunion." Of course, living alone is not always easy. One major downside is the risk of loneliness, especially if older adults are not proactive in staying socially connected. Without children or grandchildren around, meals can feel quiet, and long nights may bring a sense of sadness. That is why living independently is best suited for those with a strong sense of optimism and a willingness to engage in social activities. People who attend Tai Chi classes, senior clubs, or even just go for morning walks and chat with neighbors tend to feel less alone than those who isolate themselves. Also, to live safely while alone, seniors need to have either good health or support from the outside. This can mean a part-time caregiver, in-home assistance, or even just an emergency alert system. Without these safeguards, living solo can carry risks. A slip in the bathroom or getting dizzy while cooking. Small things, but potentially dangerous without someone nearby. Clearly, living independently is a great option for those who are still healthy, clear-minded, and want to keep their independence while staying connected to family in a balanced way. It is not about isolation. It is a lifestyle built on intention, personal freedom, and the comfort of knowing your loved ones are still close. 3. Living with children and grandchildren. For many older adults, living with their children and grandchildren seems like the safest choice, staying close to family and having someone around when the weather turns or health declines. It is the traditional way of life, familiar to many generations. But in today's society, where routines, mindsets, and habits across generations differ so much, sharing one roof is not always as simple as it sounds. In fact, it can sometimes make the elderly feel lonely, even in their own home. Take the Thompson family, for example, 3 generations living together in a suburban home in Texas. Mr. Thompson, 83 years old, is a retired carpenter. His wife, 79 years old, used to be a school teacher. Their son David is a civil engineer, and their daughter-in-law works night shifts as a nurse while raising 2 energetic kids. On the outside, it all seems perfect. Laughter, family dinners, a house full of life. But under the surface, quiet tensions grow. The mother-in-law prefers old-school ways, while the daughter-in-law lives a modern lifestyle. The grandfather wants quiet time to read, but the kids are constantly running and yelling. The elderly wake up early and turn on the television loud, while the younger ones sleep in on weekends. These little things pile up over time, creating an unspoken distance and a subtle tension in the home. Even so, living with children and grandchildren still comes with clear advantages. The sense of family is something deeply sacred to many seniors. Being surrounded by loved ones, hearing familiar voices, watching the grandkids grow, that is a kind of happiness no other place can offer. One grandmother once said, "Just hearing my grandchild call me every morning makes me feel like I still matter." A child's hug, a worried glance from a son when you do not feel well, those simple gestures are a priceless source of comfort. Plus, living with family means help is always nearby. A slight illness, a misstep, there is someone right there. Children can assist with walking, remind them to take medicine, or drive them to doctor's appointments. For elderly parents, just hearing, "Mum, are you okay?" can bring peace of mind. That kind of support is not always available in a nursing home or when living alone. Daily attention from their children can be a major emotional boost. Even a simple, "Did you eat yet?" goes a long way. However, these benefits come with real challenges. The first is the loss of personal freedom. Living under one roof means all habits must be adjusted. Meal times, use of common space, and general behavior all require patience and flexibility. But not everyone has that patience or the grace to adapt. Some seniors used to a tidy home now must accept toys scattered everywhere. Others, once accustomed to eating on schedule, must now wait until everyone sits down together. Over time, these seemingly small changes can make them feel like they no longer belong, like guests in their own home. More painfully, some elderly people begin to feel like a burden. Even when their children say nothing, the tired eyes, sighs, or occasional neglect say enough. One elderly woman once shared, "I live with my children, but I am always afraid of doing something wrong, afraid of being blamed, afraid of not being needed anymore." That kind of fear, quiet and persistent, can make seniors emotionally fragile and deeply hurt. When this fear grows, it turns into silence. They withdraw, isolate themselves, and become invisible in the very place that was supposed to be their safe haven. And when those feelings are not heard, when no one truly listens, seniors end up feeling lonely right in their own home. They sit at the dinner table, but no one checks in. They watch television with the grandkids, but no one asks what they enjoy. That invisible feeling of being present but not really seen is one of the hardest things to bear, especially in old age. That is why living with children and grandchildren only works well when everyone in the household genuinely respects one another, listens, and is willing to adjust to bridge the gap between generations. When that happens, the elderly do not just live together, they truly live, feel loved, and remain themselves in that home. That is true closeness, not just physical, but emotional. And then aging is no longer something to endure, but a journey to be shared, cherished, and lived to the fullest. Whether it is living in a nursing home, living independently, or living with family, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. Each person has their own circumstances, personality, and most importantly, their own definition of happiness. What matters is not who you live with, but whether you are actively making that choice. When you choose for yourself, you get to shape your emotions, your environment, and how you experience aging, instead of letting life push you somewhere you never wanted to be. Growing old might be the final chapter, but it does not have to be a quiet one. With early planning, wise decisions, and a peaceful heart, old age can become the most beautiful, fulfilling, and meaningful time of your life. So, what kind of life do you want in your golden years? Share it below, not just to tell your story, but to inspire someone else out there. And if you found this video helpful, do not forget to like, subscribe, and help spread a positive message so we can build a joyful, healthy, and happy community for aging well together. Leave a comment. I choose to live my later years with peace and intention, as a promise to yourself. Wishing you peace, good health, and the strength to find your own joyful path. See you in the next video.